Welcome students to lesson 18 of the Urban World topic. So far we've discussed the idea of urban change, and we've explored how Bristol has changed over the last 100 years. And you've seen how this has had positive effects on Bristol's economy and on people's lives. Finally, we're going to look at how this urban change has positively impacted Bristol's natural environment, the trees, the rivers, the air. And I'm going to show you why. Please write the date, title and learning objective and have a pen and paper ready to learn. Time to review prior learning. Write 1 to 10, answer the questions from memory and then mark your answers. Game time. Number 1. The Defence Equipment and Support Agency, or DES, is a military organisation based in North Bristol, largely due to the high-skilled workforce. 2. Airbus is a large airplane manufacturer based in North Bristol. It is the second largest in the world, after Boeing. 3. 14 of the 15 largest aerospace companies have offices in Bristol. 4. The creative industry is important in Bristol. Aardman Animations and BBC Studios produce films here. 5. The abundance of high-tech companies and skilled people attracts money and business, called foreign investment to Bristol. 6. The growth of companies in the tertiary and quaternary sectors in Bristol has led to a multiplier effect, where other companies have formed to support. 7. In 2010, 55% of people in Rio lacked access to a health clinic nearby. 8. In 2020, more than 145 UPA clinics have been set up in favelas. 9. In 151 schools of tomorrow, teachers are given a 50% pay rise if they perform well, for their students, that is. 10. Tijuca National Park is a group of mountains in central Rio that restricts construction. Give yourselves a mark out of 10. If you got 8 or more, you've really remembered and understood these ideas. Any questions that you got wrong, attempt them again in a week's time and repeatedly so that you remember them. To introduce the idea of an environmental opportunity, I'm going to show you some photos and some questions. Use the photo to answer the questions. Here's the photo. It's of a very well-known and successful environmental project in New York City. This used to be an old tram line which went over the city, and it's been replaced by a walkway with plants all along it. So number 1, describe what you see in the photo. Well, you should have said that you see office buildings on each side. Perhaps some of these are residential buildings, so where people live. You see densely packed, tall buildings. You see people walking along a platform surrounded by plants. You see graffiti here and here, and you see construction lower down. 2, suggest how this may benefit people in New York City. Well, you could have said that this reduces stress. It makes people happier walking in nature. You may have said it reduces congestion because instead of driving, people walk. You may say it provides a social opportunity for people to interact and get together, making people happier. 3. Why might cities in NEEs and LICs have fewer infrastructure projects like this? You may have said a whole number of reasons, but 1, you might have said corruption might prevent governments in LICs or NEEs from investing in environmental infrastructure like this. You may have said that the rapid population growth that isn't planned, the lack of urban planning in LICs and NEEs, if you remember from Rio, is a problem, may mean that there's no space or time or consideration by governments to build such a project. You may also have said that there's a lack of money available from governments to invest in such infrastructure projects. 4. How could this lead to more foreign investment into New York City? You could have said, again, a number of reasons, but firstly, you could have said because it makes people happier and healthier from exercise, this would attract more young, educated people to the city as they'd want to live there. Consequently, with the higher number of young, educated people in New York City, this would attract more businesses, such as law firms and office firms, such as consulting companies, which help other companies make money. This would have attracted them to the city. In this lesson, we're going to explore Bristol, and I'm going to show you how, as well as social and economic opportunities created by urban change, these economic opportunities and social opportunities have led to improvements in Bristol's environment. Try to consider why. If you're a young, educated person in a city, what would you want when you live there? Let's go. So how have the changes in Bristol led to environmental benefits? Let's start with the changes themselves. So, the main benefits economically from urban change in Bristol have been higher incomes due to the economic change to the tertiary and quaternary sectors. If you recall, the aerospace, creative, and education industries have all grown in Bristol. Consequently, there are many more jobs that are high paid, so incomes have risen in Bristol. Owing to the arrival of many foreign companies in Bristol, there has been a multiplier effect as lots of other companies have grown and set up to support them. Engineering companies, research companies, transport companies. And finally, all this investment and this arrival of highly skilled migrants into Bristol has led to further foreign investment into the city. So there's more money available to spend on different projects, such as shopping centres, like the Cabot Circus shopping centre. Let's look at how this has improved the environment. Public transport is an important investment that has grown in Bristol in the last 30 years. This is an example of an effective public transport system. It is similar to what Rio de Janeiro has. It's called Bus Rapid Transit, and Bristol's version is called Metrobus. As you can see in this photo, the bus is by itself on this separate road. It is not part of the normal traffic, and so it's able to transport people around the city very quickly. This increases demand for buses since people know that it'll get them to work or where they want to go fast. This increased investment in public transport has happened because there are lots of people who demand it. Lots of people who have work in the centre, rich people who demand good air quality and reduce congestion. And since the people demand it, and since the people choose the governments in cities and in countries, the government has a reason to invest in public transport. Additionally, people who are educated and have high incomes want to protect the environment. Not only that, the increased awareness that we have globally of climate change means that there is a motivation amongst people in the UK's cities to invest in renewable energy to reduce carbon emissions. Consequently, more than 1,000 businesses in Bristol today have invested in solar panels and put them on their roofs. 1,000 businesses, mostly in the tertiary and quaternary sectors. And this is largely a result of the investment that has come into the city and the higher incomes that people have, allowing the government of Bristol and the businesses to be able to afford to invest in these technologies. And the benefit of this is that Bristol's carbon footprint per person has decreased in the last 20 years. Although people have got richer, they're actually reducing their CO2 emissions per year because people are taking more public transport and more of Bristol's electricity is being supplied by renewable energy such as solar power. Not only that, but the effort to push public transport to reduce congestion so that people can get to work, for example, Airbus employees or students at Bristol University, has led to a decrease in air pollution in the city. There are fewer cars per person as people cycle or take the bus to work or to university. Consequently, people's health has improved. There's also a reverse effect going on here. The growth of effective public transport systems in Bristol, the Metrobus, and the strengthening of renewable energy has led to a multiplier effect. Companies that support renewable energy projects have grown, such as engineering companies like this who set up solar panels, cleaning companies and maintenance companies who ensure they work effectively. Smart meter companies and electricity generation companies have also set up in Bristol because of the growth of solar panels. Public transport has led to a rise in income since people are more productive. They get to work more quickly, so they waste less time, so they make more money. And this rise in average income and productivity has meant yet more investment, and so you see it goes back and forth. Public transport and renewable energy boosts these three things, and these three things boost public transport and renewable energy. And the overall impact is reduced environmental impact. But that's not all. These same benefits of economic change in Bristol have had yet more environmental benefits. Bristol, if you look at it from a satellite map, has got greener and greener over the last 30 years. Here is a picture of Queen's Square in the centre of Bristol some 30 years ago. As you can see, there's a major road highway going straight through the middle. None of these cars would have been electric or even hybrid back then. They would have been releasing carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, harmful gases that not only cause global warming but also harm people's health. There was less consideration for the environment back then because people were mostly in the secondary sector and in mining, polluting industries. However, demographic change to younger, educated, more ethnically diverse people, and economic change to higher income people in the tertiary and quaternary sectors has led to this. This is Queen Square today. They've removed the highway and they've turned it into a complete pedestrian park where people can relax and socialise, where people can breathe in the cleaner air from the fewer cars. This is just one example of a green space that has emerged in Bristol. In the last 20 years, more than 30% of Bristol has been transformed into green spaces like this, due to the rising demand from the richer, more educated people, and the desperate desire to attract more investment from companies, and more skilled people from around the UK and around the world. Additionally, the fall in air pollution from vehicles has been another positive effect. And what's the overall benefit of this? Afforestation has been a major part of this agenda and this initiative to green Bristol. One of the key elements to making a city green like this, to reduce its environmental impact, is to educate people. And it's best to start when they're young. More than 40,000 trees have been planted in Bristol in the last 15 years, and most of those by children in primary and secondary schools. And at the same time as they planted them, they were taught why they should. To reduce air pollution, to reduce global warming. And consequently, these children have grown up as members of NGOs and governments and businesses who are fighting to prevent environmental damage. They're the very same people who want urban greening and want public transport. So Bristol has become greener as well because of these effects. But again, there's a reverse effect. A greener city means more investment. It also means more migration of highly skilled people. When I thought I wanted to go to London, I was initially scared by the fact that there was high pollution there. I was not alone in that. In the last few years, the government of London has really been determined to reduce the environmental pollution and air pollution in London, and so it's taken a number of steps to reduce that impact. It's also made sure there are green spaces available for people. These green spaces have attracted more jobs and more businesses, and in so doing, they've also created multiplier effects. More cafes have set up around the green spaces, more companies that sell, for example, ice creams and park goods have grown, and consequently, yet more incomes have been increased. So urban greening is another powerful benefit of this urban change that has happened in Bristol in the last 50 years. And it has been driven by these three forces, and it has led to an education of a new generation of students and people through afforestation projects like this. And finally, this drive to invest in renewable energy, this drive to spread public transport and make it effective through the Metro bus around Bristol, this drive to ensure that green spaces are available no matter where you live in the city, rich or poor areas, And finally, this effort to educate young people in the importance of trees in improving people's mental health, their physical health, and attracting further business has led to Bristol winning the 2015 European Green Capital Award. It has been recognised in 2015 as one of the most successful cities in improving its environmental impact through these measures. And this award comes with other benefits. Companies around the European Union have seen that Bristol has won this award and are further interested in investing there. In just the last 5 years since Bristol has won this award, a number of other solar panel companies have invested in the city. A number of other medical companies have invested in the city to test the impact of reduced air pollution and to invent new medicines based on the highly educated population that has flocked there due to the green spaces and the good public transport. And this investment has led to rapid economic growth. The people in Bristol are getting richer, faster than almost any city in the UK. The average incomes, GDP per capita, is rising in Bristol faster than almost any city. And the amount of taxes going to the Bristol government is rising faster than almost any city. And this money is being reinvested in these projects to further improve Bristol's environment. But it's not just that. Let's think about the people who live there. You wake up in Bristol, you go to work on a bus, it takes a fraction of the time that it does if you're on a bus that's in traffic. You go into the office and you know that when you turn on the lights, they're being powered by renewable energy. On your walk home, you walk through a park and you see children 100 meters away planting trees in the park to make it even greener. And you know that you're in a city that you want to live in. And so your quality of life is improved. And these are the benefits of winning such an award. And all of that is due to the economic changes that have happened in Bristol and the demographic changes, the arrival of an ethnically diverse, young, educated population. Time to assess learning. Question 1. Why might it make economic sense for a business to reduce its carbon footprint? You should have said that reducing CO2 emissions through, for example, installing solar panels may make a business more energy efficient. And so having solar panels and having insulating windows and energy efficient buildings would mean lower energy bills, so lower costs for a business, which helps the business's profits grow. Excellent. Additionally, in a country like the UK, where taxes are placed on pollution, especially on carbon pollution, CO2, it would mean lower taxes for businesses if they polluted less, had a lower carbon footprint, and consequently lower costs and higher profits. Question 2. Why do you think Lagos in Nigeria doesn't have the same environmental advances that Bristol does? Suggest a reason. You should have said that population growth in Nigeria is much higher, especially in Lagos, the biggest city. You should have said that urban planning has been less effective, and so slums have been built across the city without adequate consideration of solar power or of public transport or of urban greening. You should have said that incomes are significantly lower in Lagos, meaning fewer taxes for the government to invest in green technologies and in green spaces. And you should have also said that education is generally lower in Lagos in Nigeria. Consequently, people often don't care as much, or they are not as aware of the environmental issues as in an HIC city like Bristol. Okay, now we embed learning. I'm going to show you some questions. Please answer them using your understanding and then mark your answers. Make sure you write in full sentences and use keywords and the words that I have used in my explanation to really strengthen your answer. Question 1. So make sure you have each of these 3 benefits and explain it. So due to, that's the explanation. Make sure that you have that. Because of, this happened because. 2. Why is public education important? Make sure that you have 2 of these points. So you need the idea of awareness of the damage and the benefits and the different solutions. And it makes people more likely to support initiatives or projects to improve the environment, such as public transport. 3, an economic benefit. Any one of these. 4, why did the European Green Capital Award lead to further economic growth in Bristol? Both of these points needed. And finally, 5, 2 reasons why Bristol's government and businesses would invest in the environment. You need both of these points here. Mark your answers. Add any corrections or missed parts in green pen and give yourself a mark out of the total. If you've done very well, fantastic. If not, come back in a week's time and attempt these questions again, having watched the explanations. Even if you have done well, attempt these questions again in future so that you can make sure that you've remembered them and held them in your memory. Okay. From all the environmental investments that I've shown you this lesson, write which one you think is the most important and give a reason. In the following sequence of lessons on our HIC City case study, we're going to be looking at the challenges, the problems created by urban change. And then we will discuss how Bristol has tried to solve them. Join me.